This is Valley Public Radio. I'm David Ouse. Welcome to Young Artist Spotlight. Support for Young Artist Spotlight comes from the Bonner Family Foundation and from the California Arts Council's Arts and Public Media Grant. In this program, we'll be featuring 3 talented string soloists from the Fresno area. They're all in high school and they're all students at the Simba School of Music. I know you'll enjoy hearing them and getting to know them. So let's get started. Our artist in this segment of Young Artist Spotlight is a terrific violinist from Fresno. Her name is Charis Gray. Hey, Charis, great to have you here today.
Hello, thank you.
So how old are you and where do you go to school?
I am 16, almost 17. I go to university high school.
All right. And how long have you been playing violin?
I've been playing since I was 7, so almost 10 years.
Yeah, going on 10 years. And we were chatting. You started actually in a school program, which is great. That's how I started I played saxophone in elementary and junior high school and high school. So that's a great way to get into an instrument. And then when did you start private lessons?
When I was in 5th grade, or so 11 years old, I started taking private lessons with Casey Simba Torres.
Right. And she's still your private instructor, right?
Yes.
So what's the piece you're going to play for us today?
So I'll be playing Symphony Espagnole by Lalo, the first movement.
All right. So Edward Lalo, great French composer and string performer as well. This is probably his best known piece, along with his cello concerto, and it's a regular part of the violin literature. He wrote it in 1874. As you were telling me, he wrote it specifically for a violinist, Pablo Sarasate, who also went on to be a composer as well. Interestingly, this came at a time when Spanish themes and motifs started becoming very in vogue in music across Europe. And just not coincidentally, Bizet's Spanish-themed Carmen opera premiered just a month after this piece did and made its premiere in 1875. So how long have you been working on this piece to get it together?
I started working on it around October of 2020 and just finalized it in this month, March.
All right. Well, it certainly puts the violinist through your paces, so I can see why it's a standard in the repertoire. What's the most challenging part of this piece for you?
I think along with all the hard runs and all the fast high parts, the slow parts are also very difficult because there's so much emotion having to be expressed through your instrument. So, yeah.
All right. Well, let's listen now as Charis Gray performs the first movement, the Allegro non troppo, of Edward Lalo's Symphony Espagnole on Young Artist Spotlight. That was violinist Charis Gray performing music of Edward Lalo, the first movement of his Symphony Espagnole, music composed in 1874. Boy, Charis, that was terrific. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
I really, it has all those fast runs and all those exposed high notes and everything, but I really, really deeply enjoyed your emotional expression through the slower parts as well. Just terrific. What role do you see music playing in your life as you go forward?
I don't know if it's gonna be playing a huge, huge role, but I definitely don't want to let it go since I'm at the level I am now. So I probably will minor in music, if not double major at some point, but that's not on my mind right now, so
All
it'll have
right.
it'll get figured out.
All right. And what do you like most about making music?
At the level I'm at, I think it's just about connecting with the piece you're playing and for, like, letting people who are listening also connect with what you're playing because, again, there are so many emotions that can be expressed, so it's truly a cool thing to do that.
Uh, I really, really like that. Well, Karis, thanks so much for joining us on Young Artist Spotlight today. It's great to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We're featuring string players today on Young Artist Spotlight, and we're talking to a violinist for this segment, Elsa Macias. Hey, Elsa, great to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
So how old are you? Where do you go to school? What grade are you in?
I'm 16 years old and I'm a junior at University High School.
All right. University known for their emphasis on broad education in the liberal arts and sciences, and also everyone shares an interest and focus in music as well. How old were you when you started playing the violin?
I was 6.
And you've had the same teacher the whole time you've been playing violin, correct?
Yes.
Who is that?
Casey Simba Torres.
All right, at the Simba School of Music here in Fresno. So you're going to play for us today a piece that you recently recorded for a solo competition. It's from Mozart, written in the mid 1770s, his violin concerto in A major, which is a kind of a rare key for Mozart. Kurschel 219, also sometimes referred to as the Turkish concerto. He wrote a suite of these concertos in the mid 1770s. It's not always known when all of them were exactly written, and there wasn't a clear commission for them either, so it's not even known exactly why he wrote them, other than that he just had to produce. This one had its premiere in December in 1775, I believe, in Salzburg. What do you like about this piece?
Well, I'm playing the first movement and I really liked how bouncy it was and like just happy and light. It was very fun to play.
Yeah, it is a really, really fun theme and an instantly accessible theme for listeners. What's the most challenging part of this piece for you?
I think the most challenging part would have to be some of the shifts and also some of the rhythms.
Okay. And what's your favorite part to play in the piece?
My favorite part was the cadenza because it was just so it was fun.
Oh, well, that's really good. That's really good. Now, sometimes cadenzas are written out, but historically, the cadenza is a place for a soloist to kind of improvise a little bit. Did you play strictly a written cadenza, or did you put some of your own ideas in there?
Well, I played a written cadenza, except I put like some retardandos and like places where I sped up in it.
Okay, so changing tempos a little bit for expression and to put your own touch on it. That's great. Well, let's go ahead and listen now to Elsa Macias performing music of Mozart, the first movement of the violin concerto in A major, Kurschel 219. That was violinist Elsa Macias performing music of Mozart from Violin Concerto in A major. So Violin Concerto number 5, I believe. Crucial 219, we heard the first movement. Well, that was terrific. Really great to hear you play that, Elsa. Really enjoyed the cadenza as well. What role do you see music playing in your life as you move forward?
I think it will definitely be in the rest of my life because it's such an important part of who I am as a person, and it's shaped who I am and who I'm becoming.
Well, excellent. Well, whatever you do with music going forward, we wish you all the best. And thanks so much for joining us on Young Artist Spotlight.
Thank you for having me.
It's Young Artist Spotlight on Valley Public Radio. The guest artist for our next segment is a wonderful violinist from Reedley, Nicole Ward. Hey, Nicole, great to have you here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so great to have you. So how old are you? What grade are you in? Where do you go to school?
I'm 16 and I'm a junior at Emmanuel High School in Reedley.
Awesome. And how long have you been playing violin?
I started when I was 7.
All right. So, wow, a decade of playing now. Excellent. How did you choose the violin to begin with?
It all started with my mom. She plays violin and organ, piano. And so she was friends with my teacher, Casey Simba Torres. And she said, "Hey, do you want to start an instrument?" And I was like, "Sure, yeah." And so she started me on the violin. And so here I am.
All right. And you've been with studying with Casey that whole time, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, she's got the wonderful Simba School of Music in Fresno and so many great musicians. Boy, what great stuff she's doing there. One of the things you're lucky too, that a lot of students in music education have had to do lessons by Zoom and still are. But Casey's figured out how to do stuff safely in person, following strict safe protocols and everything like that, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I know that makes a difference. So, what do you like about playing the violin?
I love being able to be in an orchestra and be unified by all playing instruments, and we can play great music and get to know each other and have lifelong friendships. It's great.
Oh, that's really great. Yeah, music, it really is about that as well. It makes a big difference if you really enjoy the company of people you're making music with. Now, I know you don't have an orchestra at your high school right now, but you have played in another orchestra. Tell me about that.
Yes, I've been able to be a part of Reedley College's orchestra, and so I've been off and on with playing with them for the past 4 or 5 years, and that's just been a great opportunity for me to be a part of that and get those experiences outside of my usual
Yeah,
practicing.
your usual practice. Yeah. And hey, speaking of practice, kind of what's your regimen? What kind of things do you do for warm up? And do you play every day, every other day?
I try to play 5 to 6 times a week. And so for me, the easiest to do is in the mornings before school, because I have sports and other activities after that. So each morning I start out with tonalization, and then I move on to, I have a variety of different review pieces that I have already passed and moved on from. And so I warm up with those, and then I move on to 4 different books that I work through, and that gives me a variety of different skills that I need to have. And then I move on to my Suzuki book
All
and
right.
work through that. Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. So a lot of times students will wonder, why do I do these exercises? And why do I do this? And why do I do that? Well, but you've nailed it. It's all about developing the skills that you need. And then you put all that together to then go out and express and make the musical statement that you want to make. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the piece we're going to hear you play today?
This will be La Folia by Corelli.
All right. So Arcangelo Corelli, a Baroque violinist and composer, put this together around 1700. La Folia is interesting provenance. La Folia refers to kind of a group of the oldest remembered musical themes in European history. And they were probably as much passed down in the oral tradition as they were written, part of just the European musical tradition. And over 3 centuries, more than 150 composers have put their touch on them or done something with them. Corelli's adaptation is among the most famous and a standout piece for violin. So tell us about preparing this, and tell us about kind of what makes up this piece.
Well, Corelli has, in his piece, he has 13 different variations, and each of those have a variety of different styles and techniques and bowing techniques that I had to learn to be able to play this piece correctly. It was very fun, and I loved the different variations. It was fun to learn some slower ones and some faster ones, and it wouldn't get boring. It was always something new and changing it up. I know in the last variation, it's fun. It has some fast runs and some double stops that took some work to perfect, but it
What's
was
the trick?
fun to be able to get
So a
there.
double stop is when a violin string player plays 2 strings at the same time. What's the hardest thing in double stops? Is it the intonation or?
I would probably say the intonation, especially if I need to shift between 2 different double stops. Those were kind of difficult to learn at first, but after a lot of work, you can get through. You can get through them.
Gotcha. Well, it certainly sounds like a lot of fun to play, and you make it look fun to play. So let's give a listen now as Nicole Ward performs music of Arcangelo Corelli on Young Artist Spotlight, La Folia. That was Nicole Ward, violinist, performing music of Arcangelo Corelli, La Folia, music from 1700. Nicole is 16 years old. She's a junior at Emmanuel High School in Reedley. Boy, so great to have you on Young Artist Spotlight. That really was a lot of fun to listen to. I'm sure it is a whole bunch of fun to play. So tell me kind of broadly the role music plays in your life, and what role you think music will play in your life as you move ahead.
I've loved being able to be a part of different things and different quartets and different things throughout the years. As I move on to college, I'm not planning on being a part of anything like a music major, but I would love to keep going with my violin and keep up with it. So throughout my life, I can come back to it and be able to be a part of different orchestras and quartets.
Well, I'm sure you'll be able to do that, a fine player like you. Nicole, it's been so great talking with you today, and certainly a pleasure hearing you play. Thanks so much for joining us on Young Artist Spotlight.
Thank you. Yeah, it's fun to chat.
That concludes another episode of Young Artist Spotlight. Thank you to our wonderful performers today, Charis Gray, Elsa Macias, and Nicole Ward. Thanks also to KC Sembatoris of the Semba School of Music. Special thanks to CMAC for video production. Support for Young Artist Spotlight comes from the Bonner Family Foundation and from the California Arts Council's Arts and Public Media Grant. For Valley Public Radio, I'm David Aus.